Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters here in Season 10 in the ESL studios in Cologne, Germany. We've had a long day so far and we're nearing the end of it. We have one final official match from Open Bracket 2 before going to the decider between both Open Bracket 1 and Open Bracket 2. Over here is the #1 Twitch streamer for StarCraft 2 Rotterdam, and it is...
Who am I, mate?
The #1 GSL caster.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you very much.
I could say Spo TV or Star League, but whenever I watch GSL, it's you that stands out in my heart.
Much love, man. I appreciate that. Testosis, look out.
Moonglade's coming for your jobs.
I'm coming.
He's coming for your money and your jobs. Next match then. Two Dutch players go head to head. Did either of you manage to catch the previous one? Because I know they played the same time as the mainstream. As you can see, here's the bracket. They played a couple of rounds earlier in the winner bracket. There you can see 2-1 victory to uThermal. Did either of you catch it?
I didn't catch it, but I did watch them go up against each other roughly a month ago, maybe a month and 2 or 3 weeks against or during the DSCL finals, an event that was happening in Amsterdam.
Right.
So I did catch that one, but I didn't catch the one they played earlier today.
How did the one in the finals win out? That was a rep victory, if I'm not mistaken.
No, actually it was uThermal. I think uThermal won 4-1 or 4-2. He was pretty decisively, and that was on the moment where Red really was on a hot streak. He just qualified for the Hell It's About Time tournament, did well in WCS, made it to round 16. So I was talking with Red, and he was actually a little bit shocked. He's like, not used to you losing anymore, and I don't really get why I lost. Like, I lost kind of hard, you know. Like, Red is not a guy who throws a tantrum or something, but he was like, you know, we had a cheeky beer afterwards, and he was just kind of staring in front of him. He's like, man, it's weird. Like, I don't actually really know where this went wrong. He played really well, and he was kind of upset about it.
Well, we know Red's playstyle has been pretty much the same, especially in this matchup, since forever. You know, maybe he's a little bit aggressive here and there, but mostly it's just the traditional Zergling, Bagelin, Mutalisk style. But uThermal is just kind of known as a more aggressive player overall. Does that translate into the games that you saw when they played in that finals then?
Yeah, it's actually really fun, because I've casted them a couple of times already. Well, I didn't cast the DSCL, but before that there was a small event in Rotterdam where they played a best of 3 for €300, and Red was really sick. Like, uThermal was non-stop aggression, and Red just shut everything down and won pretty easily 2-0. But then at the DSCL finals, suddenly uThermal was able to make his aggression work, and the Red was just never able to truly stabilize on that high number of drones that we know he likes to stabilize on. So it's an interesting clash, and I really feel whenever these two go up against each other, it's shape of the day and it's execution above anything.
Well, Jos has been playing absolutely great here today. He's just picked up the victory we saw in the mainstream against Petit Drogo. It's a great victory in itself. I mean, we know how well Petit Drogo's been doing recently, and for Red to come in and knock him out of the open bracket. And here he is again going up against a player he's played a little bit earlier on, and when he was on the desk in the post-game interview, he was happy, confident, smiley, and that always translates into good form and good play. And even the games we saw, it's just physically good play.
It was actually such brilliant play when he played against Petit Drogo. Like, he had really intelligent games, and he did everything right in Game 1 and in Game 2, just the right decisions. And I'm very excited to see him against uThermal this time around. Like, he seems to be, in that good place right now. And I've been really impressed with his Zerg versus Terran. You know, I got to see it a lot last tournament I casted in when he was playing against Fantasy, a very powerful opponent in Terran versus Zerg. So I think if it gets to the late game especially, Red's going to be pretty comfortable.
And then, of course, he's going up against uThermal, who has been starting to make a bit of a name of himself recently. He's continuing to rise. Not just uThermal, I mean, the whole European scene has a bunch of these young, talented European players who are rising through the top, and he's definitely one of them. And he's been continuing to do better and better and better. But this is a difficult task here. This isn't going to be easy, Roddy.
No, especially because he just played at best of 3 against TLO, and things were just not going that well for him in that series. I met him for the first time actually after that series today, because he was playing before, and I was you know, out of the office early this morning. So I walked up to him, and he's like, hey, and he was kind of smiling still. So I told him in Dutch, wasn't he veel, which translates to, that wasn't much, bro. You know, like that series. So he looks at me, he's like, wow, that's kind of rude. I was like, well, what else you want me to say? Well played. And then he just kind of laughed. He's like, oh no, that doesn't really work either. So, but he's a chill guy. He's very relaxed around events, and he is definitely one of those upcoming Terrans. We've been saying it for a while. I've been giving him a lot of love. I looked a little silly in the previous cast because TLO just shut him down. But I do think that uThermal, if he brings his A++ game, he's very good. And he even went to Twitter as well. He's like, well,
I was gonna say,
just one of those series where you play like a gold leaguer. It happens. Move on, you know.
And he really feels confident about the rest of the players in this bracket. And even ahead of this, if he was to say that he lost to Red, he has Bly, which I'm sure he's confident against as well. So this is a perfect opportunity. We only have 3 players left for a couple of slots. So we'll see how this actually plays out. So let's look about when they clash together then. So we've talked about how uThermal's a bit of an aggressive player. We know Rhett's kind of the opposite. Is that how it's going to play out then? It's like the Hellbat type of plays, the Widowmine, Hellion, Marine drops early.
I don't think it necessarily has to be like that, because he tried to do that kind of stuff against TLO and it just didn't really work. Now uThermal is not super confident against Zerg, but I think as long as he just goes for, let's say, a strong 2-base or a relatively strong 3-base economy, and then go for that super aggressive play, because you can still be very aggressive. It doesn't have to be at the 8-minute mark. It can also be at the 11 or 12-minute mark. Then with just non-stop Marines and medevacs rallying across the map, dropping, and then it's often that battle where Red tries to keep his fort base alive, the traditional ZvT, and I've seen multiple games between these two players in particular just play out like that. Will Red stabilize, will he not? And it can be like often when they start fighting, they will never stop fighting. If they stop fighting, one player has lost.
All right, well, thank you very much, guys, for your analysis here. One of these guys is going through the open bracket to play in group stages. The other has another chance, but Bly on Fire is waiting for him down there. Which player is going through? Which player is going to be the Flying Dutchman?
Welcome to the casting desk, guys. I am Pig. Sitting here with me is the great, legendary Heroes of the Stormcaster. It is Todd.
You guys need some new content. It's getting pretty old.
You've got to stick with the classics, what's true, You can't just make up humor like that. It's got to come from a spot of
it's true.
Truth.
Maybe I should allegorize like your latest results and talk about them too, Pig. I'm sure that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, let's run an inference. We'll see who comes out the better there. Maybe me versus you. Yeah, we'd see who's
we can
predicted
play
higher.
any time, any day, any place.
Bring
Pig.
it on, man. Bring it on.
Right after this series if you want. But before, let's jump into the game here. We're on Kuda.
We are looking at the Battle of the Dutchmen. It is going to be uThermal versus Rhett. A really, really cool match. Of course, ZvT coming up. Rhett's been getting stronger and stronger at this matchup. And no matter what happens, usually when there's a patch, you see all the Zerg players complaining. But this guy up here never complains. He always says, my race is imbalanced. This is Team Liquid's Rhett. One of the few Zerg players to say Zerg is just broken against Terran if they're played properly.
Did he say that a lot?
He does say it a lot.
I heard him complain about Protoss a whole bunch.
Well, he definitely doesn't have the same feelings when he's going up against this guy's race down here. This is uThermal.
With the cheeky SCV here being sent across the map. It's going to be the 8-8. Rate 8. Oh, no, let's not go down that road anyway. Tell us everything about this build and what it does well against and how to counter it.
This is the most aggressive proxy Reaper build possible. He has cut SCVs so early, so he's just going to get Reapers into red space so quickly that SCV will probably run in there, try to build a bunker with it, and he's going to keep building Reapers up to at least 4 or 5. What he's going to be aiming to do is kill a lot of drones. He really wants to get in there and get out of control with those Reapers. If he can pick off 3 or 4 drones very quickly, he'll start to get enough damage done that he can transition behind that. But sometimes, if the Zerg isn't really on top of their micro, he can just spiral out of control and the Zerg can just straight up die.
Do you do this because you hope that the Zerg's gonna go hatch first and he does best against this, right?
Absolutely.
What's a good amount of drone skills?
I'd say as the Reaper player, you want a minimum of 4 drones killed. And if you can get like 6, then you're just so happy. There's a big smile on your face. Now, looking at this, Rhett's actually going for a 16 spawning pool, so it's not the fastest. And oh wow, second barracks on the production tab. This is all in. This is where you keep building up Reapers, and you don't necessarily need to do the critical damage straight away because you're going to start building 2 Reapers at a time, and when you hit 5 or 6 Reapers, you can kill a queen really easily.
So build otherwise, I'm guessing Rhett is in quite a bit of trouble there, and that second barracks also means that there's not going to be an orbital there for uThermal. He's going to be completely all in.
Oh yeah, there's no SCV production behind this. There's like no mules dropping forever.
He's about to realize, the Overlords, when he sees that there's nothing.
Yep, he should recognize...
What's the best way to react? Do you need a spine?
There's 2 different
ways. The natural or
One
not?
is you stay on gas. You never cancel the natural usually. You want that for later on because he doesn't know it's 2 barracks yet. He won't realize that for a little bit. Looks like he is going to opt for the spine crawler as well as continuing to mine gas for the moment. The Reaper already picking up 1 kill. Now these drones need to pull back into that mineral line, and it's all about how good Rhett's micro is at pulling back at the weakened drones and how well uThermal can target them.
I think he should have realized though that it's not that it's a second barracks, because if there isn't a second barracks, then there's going to be an orbital, which he checked. He saw it's like still a regular CC across the map.
Oh, in the heat of the moment, though, he may be a little bit slow to pick up on that. He's got that spine crawler down. Some more Zerglings are coming out. 2 Queens are coming, but he has already lost a couple of drones here. And look at this, 3 Reapers. Now they can kill drones so quickly. They can kill the Zerglings so quickly. That damage is starting to get out of control.
Yeah, and there's still another Queen on the way, but it's going to be an unnatural. Going to take forever to get into the mains.
Oh no,
Brings the Reaper back, and that Queen is already so low. He can just go around that spine forever and kill everything.
Oh, we've got a lot of Zerglings, you know, not really in production because we've got the spine, we've got the Zergling speed. So it's all about this spine, but that Zergling speed is so far away from kicking in. One of these Queens is already so low. Rhett has to be so careful here, and soon there's going to be 6 Reapers out, at which point he can isolate this Queen on the low ground and just really have free reign over this mineral line.
You know what they say, Pig, when you play the game of drones, you win or you die.
Oh.
In this case, it looks like he might just die.
Oh, this Queen's trying to run into the main. It's trying to do something, but on its own, a Queen cannot deal with this. Rhett trying to go for that Ling speed, but now he's building Zerglings, but he's already taken so much damage. He's lost so much mining time. The Spine Crawler can only cover half of that mineral line. So Rhett is actually got less mining than uThermal's 8 or 9 SCVs back home. These Reapers are getting out of control.
How many Lings does he need to actually kill this with speed that he's going to have in a moment?
We're about to have like 8 Reapers out, so he's going to need at least 20 Zerglings, and even then they'd need a full surround to actually take them down. So he's really got to build up this Zergling number, and yet another Queen goes down, and Rhett just can't afford the resources to get this out.
Yeah, Rhett right now he's on 12 Zerglings, 14 now. Speed's about to finish. And Mr. Max Schlappe is going to get into his middle line here and kill more Lings. I think he knows that Speed's about to finish, so he wants to reduce that number as much as possible. Speed finally finishes. He's trying to get a surround. uThermal is going to get out of there. And all of a sudden, it's 7 Reapers to 16 Zerglings. And this has been held, but back at home, uThermal has a complete wall-off.
Oh,
so 8 drones to 15 SCVs. Is this completely over, or?
That's a huge lead for uThermal, but if Rhett can somehow surround all these Reapers and overpower them, maybe he still has a chance here, but it's a tiny, tiny chance. I mean, looking at this, as a Zerg player, what do? Just keep building Zerglings, hope for that surround? Do you try and rebuild your drones one at a time? The options are very, very poor for Rhett. Look at this, the Spine's even getting caught out of position. These Reapers can actually kill that very quickly.
He's going to try to get in there and get a surround here if he can. Rhett. uThermal always ready with the kiting there. He's gonna kind of hug the wall, actually.
There's just not enough Zerglings. Sure, 1 Reaper goes down, but look at this. All the Zerglings are already almost gone, and now these Reapers can jump in the main base. There's no anchor, there's no Spine Crawlers or Queens. These Reapers are gonna have free reign here. I think uThermal is about to snatch this game 1 away in a very decisive fashion.
He's playing it really well. He's still pumping Reapers 2 at the time here from the proxied barracks. He's made 2 barracks back at home. He's actually gonna make some more Reapers with those. 3 in production at the same time.
3 Reapers at a time. He knows he's got such an advantage that if he just keeps on applying pressure with these Reapers, he will get further and further ahead.
What is this, man? Wings of Liberty beta?
Morrow, he's watching at home right now with a tear in his eye, thinking of days past. And uThermal does take the game 1 very decisively. A really, really smart strategy there, going for the sort of all-in, crazy aggressive build. Rhett opening up a little bit greedily there, you know, hatch first into a 16 pool. It's not the greediest, but on that map, Coda, so good for Reapers. They can just hop up that path. And I guess if I've got to identify one area Rhett could have done better, maybe opting for just more Zerglings rather than that Spine Crawler, because it didn't really do a lot in that mineral line, did it? It kind of just zoned out one area, but it didn't really protect the drones as a whole.
I do think that if he had cancelled the hatchery on the natural, he would have had more minerals, but then would it be useful? Because I'm not sure if he had the lavas or not, so maybe he should let it finish. But I mean, either way, just the build that he did was like, you know, way too greedy. Hatch, gas, and then later pull. So just not ideal situation, sadly, for Red there.
It's just a really hard situation. He's going to have to gather his mentality and pull it together. But we are going to be going to a very quick ad break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back in just 2 minutes. Welcome back, guys. We are here at the Intel Extreme Masters Gamescom. We did just witness a very quick, decisive Game 1 victory. uThermal took over Rhett there, and he's looking like he's deep in thought there, considering his next move.
Yeah, next map is going to be Terraform. What can you tell us here about this map in Terran vs Zerg and stylistically here with these two?
Terraform is one of the more straight-up maps in the new map pool. I mean, we've been seeing it a lot in all the matchups. Something to point out is it's a relatively short rush distance, so Reaper rushes, or just your generic 1, 2, 3 Reaper pressure is very strong. Something I actually feel is really good on it is proxy 2-racks, because there's a lot of places to hide it, but we haven't really been seeing it too much at the highest levels of play. If it goes to a more standard game, very typical map. Third base, not too far away for both sides to defend. It's a really straight up map in that regard. One of the interesting things is we actually see a lot of mech on it, but I don't think that's uThermal's style at all.
Okay, it's going to be cool here to see these guys face off once again. I'm hoping for a longer game this time. Pretty sure we're not going to be seeing something similar. And I quite like the choice of uThermal actually in the first map to go for this, because it really felt like they have a lot of history together. Obviously, you know, they played quite a few times and actually like pretty even in series and maps traded. And he probably thought there was a very high chance that Red was going to go for this build. So he anticipated very well and already, you know, kind of won the mind games and set the pace here in this series, I feel, up against Red.
It gives you so much tempo as the player. You get that quick, easy win. You kind of say, I'm inside your head. Puts a lot of pressure on Rhett now to not make any mistakes here.
Yeah, is that what Probe did against you in WCS?
Of course, our own feats and losses aside, we're looking at much better players, like this Zerg player down here. It is Team Liquid's Rhett.
And his opponents. He's already sending an SCV across the map. So much for playing a different game there. It is, of course, uThermal. So I guess it's going to be the same thing. Do you think he does the 2 racks again this time around, or? You know, it's the classic mind game of he's not going to think that I'm doing it again. Which actually I had so many times against Red. There was a time, like, I always opened Nexus 15, so he Ling rushed me. And then every other game, like 3 games in a row after that, I was like, he's not going to think that I'm going to do it again. So I did Nexus 15 again, and he Ling rushed every single time. And I feel like he's pulling the same mind game. So Red, being kind of familiar with it, actually it looks like he might be able to scout for it early enough.
Really clever to scout for that. There's a ledge on this map, just like on Coda. So this is really the location where you would do it on this map. So this second Overlord by Rhett is going to spot it at a nice early time. And you know what? He's not even going to put his hatchery down yet. So he can just go pull first. And if he's quick, he can pull his Overlord back. So uThermal won't even realize it's been spotted. And that's so bad as the Terran player, because he's going to go in there and Rhett's going to be so mentally prepared, and uThermal's going to have to adapt on the fly. And look at that, fast pooling gas. This is such a good reaction from Rhett.
I think, he's going to go for the same. Exactly the same. The second barracks instead of the orbital there. So huge commitment here for Reapers to do damage. This time Red's fully ready. Are we looking at 1-1 here no matter what? Like, what does need to happen for uThermal to win this?
uThermal needs to pull some, I don't know, some magic.
Some Roddy Micro.
Some Roddy Micro. Like, he needs to do some real wizardry here, because this is just such a hard position. And Rhett doesn't actually see the second barracks yet. I think his Overlord will poke in and spot that. And that means it's completely all in. Like, there's just no transition at home for uThermal. You've got, like, literally 5 SCVs harvesting minerals right now in 3 on gas. You have almost no economy. You can't do a lot of transition behind this.
Yeah.
And Rhett, look at this. 6 Lings on the way, a Queen on the way, almost enough gas for Zergling speed. Rhett can just like expand behind these Zerglings and feel so comfortable.
uThermal is still gonna try though. Gets in there with the first Reaper there. He's got 2 more on the way. Speed just started there for Red. He's gonna try to, I guess, keep that Reaper busy here for a little bit while the Queen's coming out.
There's still a long time until Zergling speed finishes, so uThermal can hope to maybe just get this to spiral out of control. If he can start picking off the Zerglings, damaging the Queens before they get a critical mass, before Zergling speed kicks in, he does have some chance here, but if Rhett's just very solid with his micro, he should be able to hang on and build up to that.
The first inject is going to be huge though. He's going to be able to get so many links out, already having a whole bunch of minerals. The SCV in the main dice as well as the bunkers. That gets cancelled. 4th and 5th Reaper on the way there.
This is uThermal's only real choice. He's committed to 2 barracks on the map. He needs to just keep using these Reapers and hope that he can spiral it out of control. And Rhett, though, he knows exactly what he needs to do. A second Queen's about to pop. Zergling speed's 2/3 of the way done now. Once that Zergling speed finishes, uThermal, I don't know what he can do to hang on.
Okay, Pig, real talk. uThermal has 7 mineral SCVs mining. 5 minutes in.
This is the definition of an uneconomic build, I think. It's not your macro defensive build. There's not a lot of transition here. If there was ever a debate about whether a build's an all-in or not, this would not be a part of that debate. If it was, it would only be as the perfect example of it. We're going to see Zergling speed kick in here. Rhett knows exactly what he's doing, taking no chances. uThermal's got those Reapers out there, but here comes the moment of reckoning. The Zergling speed is kicked in. He's going to surround these Reapers. The Reapers are running. Can they make it to the ledge in time?
Hey, if they can, there's going to be 2 Queens receiving them here. The League's going to go around. GG gets called, and Rhett will equalize the score here with the perfect scouts and another sip of water. You got to stay hydrated, man.
Oh yeah, you gotta drink that water. Don't want to be drinking too many sugary soft drinks, energy drinks, or you start to crash later on in the day. Rhett's a veteran these days. He knows how to take care of himself. He's just looking around a little bit there. He's thinking, is this part of a ceremony? No, he's just going to take a break. Of course, uThermal, he went for that build. I actually admire it when a player takes a risk like that and they say, you know what, you'll never think I'll do this again. And I think this could just get the win.
What about in the third map?
The third map? Once again, the same build. I think that's the point where you reach insanity as a player and you actually become everyone's worst nightmare to play against because they can't take any risks against you. It's like when you're playing against the drunk guy in a game of poker and, you know, he just keeps raising no matter what and there's no way to read his face. His eyes are glazed over. I think uThermal's not going to risk it on something like that. I think he's going to play one of his more generic builds. But we are starting to see a sort of story between these two guys, right? uThermal, very aggressive, wants to get in there. He wants to rip Rhett apart. He feels like Rhett's the more greedy guy, and Rhett's like, I'm going to play my game of drones, I'm going to scout, I'm going to defend. So I think the next game is going to be all about, can Rhett figure out what uThermal's doing, and can uThermal find that very sweet spot with the timing attack to get in there and disrupt Rhett?
Okay, so that sounds pretty good. I like it when I cast non-Protoss matchup with you because you've got it covered, man. I just ask like a random question, then you go on like a 5-minute analysis of like the situation and stuff.
Over-analysis, some would say, but I do love my ZvT. Such an interesting matchup. You know, people say it's the one with the least range of build orders, but there's so many slight adjustments. When you get a very tight meta around a matchup, it starts to become about these very fine sort of decisions that go on, and we are going to be going into Bridgehead, and this is a really cool map. It's not completely figured out yet. It's very, very new. If I had to guess, I'd say Rhett might actually show us some 2-base muter on this map. uThermal, before we saw him elevate some Hellions. Do you think he'd try that build again?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, if he thinks there is a good chance. The thing is, like I said, these two know each other so well, and I feel they kind of know each other's repertoire of, like, build orders, that if you play one of them and it becomes obvious early on, the opponent's going to be able to adjust so well that he's just going to be able to shut down whatever you're throwing at him. So they can just kind of, I feel like both of them, they need to either like try and play it standard and just play like solid and outplay the opponent, or they really need to surprise their opponent with like something new that they don't usually play with themselves.
Lots of mind games already kind of coming out in the series. Is uThermal going to keep doing it? Will he swap back into that macro play? Sometimes the strongest thing after doing some really aggressive kind of cheesy plays, throw out the hyper defensive kind of economic play, be a little bit greedy. Yeah. Maybe Rhett's like obsessively like getting his Baneling Nest really early, building spine crawlers, this sort of thing, being really over-prepared. That could actually play into uThermal's hands quite well, because he's a very good macro player.
Yeah, but Rhett is really smart at mind games there. I think if uThermal was to play really greedy in this game, I think Rhett would pick up very quickly on it, and it'd play right into his hand, because he loves droning up a lot. So that makes it very difficult, to be honest, like to, you know, be able to do well against somebody like Rhett. Like, he's just so experienced. You know, he's been around forever, was one of the top 4 winners in Brood War. So he knows, he really understands how to go into a best of 3, a best of 5, go from map to map, and really, I guess, kind of anticipate what he thinks you're going to do. And a lot of the time he's right.
It kind of puts pressure on uThermal as well, of course. Have you ever, in the old days, do you have many matches against players like Slivko and Rhett, these kind of mass drone players? Did you ever feel like you were very pressured in those matchups?
Yeah. I played Rhett once in the round of 16 of a DreamHack, and I remember feeling like I had to do something like a 7 gates to basically not let him drone too much. And he still managed to drone up like quite well, and then made enough roaches and hold. So he's always been like, you know, very good at injects. Over the years, though, he's against very refined all-ins before from Protoss, he kind of died. But then he worked very, very hard, and nowadays I feel like he's so much stronger in general. You know, like his style was always like a long-term thing, where when he learned to defend against most stuff, and I do think that everybody over time gets better against all lanes because he just faced them so many times. Yeah, he was always meant like to be like really, really good, I think, with the style he tried to play.
It was definitely a long-term investment. Sometimes you go for those easy wins as a player, you pick up a very aggressive style, but because Rhett's always been so defensive, it's always about those little adjustments, making his play very flexible and being able to adjust to those different times. And looks like, actually, we were wrong about the map. It is going to be Iron Fortress in Game 3. We are about to hop into that. A very interesting map, very good for aggression on both sides. Those third bases very spread apart.
Okay, so your prediction still remains the same, 2-base Mutas?
2-base Muta for sure. I think uThermal, going to try and be aggressive. Maybe a Hellbat timing in there. Maybe.
You keep predicting 2-base Mutas, man. First 2 maps was 2 Rax Reapers. It's not quite the same, man.
Hey, Rhett was probably planning to do it. Rhett looking very focused there. We are going to be introducing, down here in the bottom left-hand side, the Blue Zerg player. It is Liquid's Rhett. Facing off against the Dutch player. Down here in the bottom right-hand side of Iron Fortress, it is uThermal. Representing AT Gaming, of course.
And the Netherlands as well.
Very strong Dutch player. Raising the flag there. Is he going to try anything crazy this game? I think on the 4-player map, it just doesn't make too much sense to do it.
Netherlands are pretty good at StarCraft. At most games, to be honest. Most RTS.
Yeah.
Grubby in Warcraft 3, and then guys like uThermal, Red, Harstem in StarCraft 2.
I think there's been a good scene kind of around the Netherlands with guys like Rhett being around from the start, Grubby coming in from Warcraft not long after that, and things like the DCSL, these community-run tournaments that really kind of prop up the scene and give the players a chance to grow and compete in front of an audience for good amounts of money. I think it's really done a lot. And
then you have famous streamers and casters like Roddy as well.
Oh yeah. Actually named after, you know, after a big city there. Yeah, you got Loco, of course, doing his guides on YouTube and everything and streaming a lot. It is kind of a battle for Dutch pride right now between these guys. Command
center first there on this map, so I'm a little bit worried for uThermal already, man. If he tries to play a greedy game, I warned you. You played a game of drones with Red. You're gonna die almost everything on time unless you try to kill him. And if you play passive, a lot of the time he's gonna be really happy to drone up and then play really well. Roddy even mentioned it. Like there was this one time when they played and like whatever was being thrown at him, Wright was defending everything perfectly. He was shutting down every single attacks. I really feel like if you let him drone to, you know, an ideal count early on, say like, you know, 70 plus, he's going to be able to get enough, and he's going to have the, I guess, the split and multitask to defend most of the attacks that are going to be thrown at him.
Yeah, I've got to agree. His creep spread as well is really, really important. It's one of the things he always stresses, and one of the reasons he thinks Zerg is so powerful in the matchup is he feels like as long as you've got enough creep, Terran can't really do anything to you, and you're allowed to put all your attention into counterattacking. Now, CC first, it is an economic build, but uThermal doesn't necessarily have to commit to, I think, too much just defending. He doesn't have to go for that fast third command center. There's actually a lot of really cool fast Hellbat timings you can do off this. You can go into fast Banshees as well, and I think that would be the best option for uThermal. He is going for the late SCV scout now. Meanwhile, we do see Red on the other side of the map going for a hatchery first. Very standard, typical opening from Red, not looking too paranoid at all.
Okay, what do you think, if you're uThermal, what do you think would be the best way to play against somebody like Red that loves to drone up? Like, I guess a good mix of aggression to force some units out of him, and then behind it some solid macro?
I think that would be really good, and maybe making it a little bit sharper than normal. I guess one of the scary things, we were talking about the pressure of playing against one of these guys who loves their drones, right? I almost feel like it forces you to either play on the extreme sides of the spectrum. If you play too middle of the road, I feel like unless you're a bit better than them mechanically, you're going to end up behind as the game progresses, right? If you do some like half-hearted pressure, you're not going to get enough damage done. So what I'd really like to see is either an overcommitment to economy or an overcommitment to some sort of pressure. Like really make sure it's sharp. You can still macro off it, but make sure you're hitting it sharp and fast. Because if you don't, Rhett's always going to push his economy that little bit further than any other player. He'll come out of it with more drones behind it.
So that's actually the opposite of what I suggested. Thank you, Big.
I said it in such a nice way, though. If you didn't point that out, like...
I'm just kidding. It's okay.
Oh, nice SCV scout from uThermal. Really clever timing. Coming in here, he's going to try and get in the main and check, hey, you still mining gas? If so, how much? Look at that. Mineral walking right through the queen. Looks at the gas. He does click on that, sees there's been just a little bit of gas still mined. And interestingly, we do see that drone going out for that third base. Looks like Rhett going for the very typical third base play. Meanwhile, uThermal going for that fast third command center. So both players are going to play the game of drones by the looks of it.
Yeah, going to be dropping a starport as well behind his with the second gas here that he's getting uThermal.
Most likely just for a Viking, I believe. He doesn't seem to have really enough gas, but I guess there is the potential to go into that late Banshee. Can still be nice to do that, but I think something like a Viking to clear up Overlords, or maybe that medevac with the Hellion drop we actually saw him use against TLO could be a really cute move that not a lot of players use.
Bit of a supply block here, actually. 43 out of 46, these two Hellions. It took a bit of time to finally start. Gonna need to be careful there with that stuff, because Red here, he doesn't get supply blocked himself. Starts a lot of Overlords.
And he's already got 3 queens out front, dropping a lot of creep tumors. Knowing he's up against Command Center first, notice he doesn't really worry about these Hellions. They're out much later than if there was a Reaper opening, so Rhett feels free to drop a lot of creep tumors very, very early.
Okay, the armor is going down there, so I guess you were right here about the Hellbats. How many does he get, and where do you want to attack here with this?
Oh, looks like he's going to be hitting about 8 minutes just after that, with a lot of Hellbats, a couple of Marines, and a medevac. Notice his barracks, even though it has the tech lab, he showed the tech lab to make it look like he was going to be upgrading stim, investing in the later game, not using it, just pumping out Marines. He's just going to get this medevac out, it's going to pick up some Marines and Hellions, boost over there, and he is going to be pushing in very, very hard with this. Luckily for Rhett, though, he does spot it very early on with that Overlord.
Yeah, so he can start preparing. He's still getting drones. Gonna start a few additional links there, though. And the Hellions are still around the third base there for uThermal.
Ooh. Lots of queens are out on the map for Rhett. That's really what you need against this, but no banelings yet. And in the back, if this drop comes in, it looks like he's trying to pull Rhett apart. This drop is to try and distract and pull units home. Meanwhile, the attack on the front is where most of the Hellbats are.
Yeah, the drop's gonna happen in the main there. There's some Hellions and Marines. The medevac's getting shut down. Everything's gonna be defended very quickly, but the Hellbats are gonna walk into the natural there. And like you said, there is no banelings yet. 2 of them are morphing right now. It's gonna be really hard to defend this with Zerglings.
Oh, he's gotta pull the drones away.
Are gonna come in. It's time for the barbecue, man.
Oh, the barbecue, but these banelings forcing the Hellbats to split, and 4 queens there doing really well. Oh, nice focus fire from uThermal. Does get 7 drones so far, but he needs more than that. He's committed a lot to this timing, and Rhett actually holds very impressively, only losing 7 drones to that, and remaining with 46 drones out. He's going to be able to drone up so hard.
Yeah, they're the same walker count behind this. I think he started something like 11 drones, though.
Oh, yeah, and look at this. So many lings out on the map. What you've got to remember is, yeah, uThermal's looking okay economically, but what's he got left? 4 Marines? Oh, and if he doesn't raise that depot, this could actually be really nasty for him.
Red's gonna go in there. There's a Marine blocking it, actually. Oh, that guy moved.
That was a scary moment just then. But how does uThermal ever secure this third base now?
It's gonna be hard.
This is really tricky. His upgrades are way behind here. He is building a couple of Marines at a time, but he hasn't really had a chance to get up that full 5 barracks production yet. This is going to be really hard to secure that. And Rhett, look at this. Creep spread in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
Completely free to spread this. No pressure on Rhett right now.
uThermal actually just scanned the natural of Red there and saw absolutely nothing other than the 2 Evos. So he's not gonna learn much out of this. Scans again, this time the main's gonna see the Spire. Okay, so he was actually fishing for the info here on when that Spire is gonna be finishing, I guess, to time his turrets accordingly. Not to start him too early.
I almost wonder if it's more worthwhile to just drop the turrets a little bit early on, and rather than losing 2 mules for that. Not really sure on the specifics.
Is what they say.
Sorry?
Money's money.
Money is money. Yeah, I think it would be a nice move, but looking at this now, uThermal is moving out to take that third base. Being behind in those upgrades does open up a few windows here, where if Rhett wants to get aggressive, he could actually like hop on top of this army and maybe take a really good fight either in the next minute or when his 2-2 finishes.
That creep stride is sick, by the way. Going so far out already, and even going towards his 4th base very nicely. 87 drones. Okay, well, I guess he's just climaxed big. It's happened.
Oh, Rhett playing the game of drones so well. Once he gets to here, he can just throw banelings at you constantly. Like, really, to win this, uThermal needs to start pushing the creep back really soon. But look at this supply lead Rhett has. With that sort of supply lead, you don't want to move out at all. And if you don't move out, creep's going to cover the map. It's death one way or another. uThermal needs to find an amazing fight here in the next little while. He's starting his 2-2, starting his vehicle armor, trying to drop around the top side of the map. But a drop on its own, no push on the front, front at the same time, mutas are already out. They're going to shut this down really easily.
Yeah, he never started a second factory, actually. That's a pretty big deal, right? Like, with only Marines, I feel like you can't win this.
Yeah, he's going to need the extra Widowmine production and the drilling claws for sure. Going out like double drop is great. It's going to buy time, but buy time for what? Ret's already at 155 supply with a sick economy. Ret's going to be maxed so quickly, and if we lose any units, that's going to be really hard. Nice queen snipe here. This is going to be good if he can then boost this dropout and keep that alive. This is a nice poking from uThermal, but he has a long road ahead of him to equalize this game.
Yeah, he's dropping down a lot of barracks actually around his third base there, so as well as an extra factory. So he's gonna do what you said here. I think start pushing the creep back, leapfrog a little bit with the Widow Mines that he's got, and he's up to 8 here so far, as well as 14 Marines. How do you like these numbers here? 95 Zerglings, 5 Banelings, 12 Mutas against 44 Marines and 8 Widow Mines.
Oh, these Marines are doing a good job, but those numbers are pretty scary. We really need to rely on the Widowmine shots here so much. It's all about those Widowmine shots. If they don't get good shots off, uThermal's army is just so weak. It's made out of paper. These Marines just will die to Banelings. There's no Marauders shielding for them. He's got the second factory on the way now. He's starting to edge out, but look at how spread out his army is. 3 Widow Mines left at the third base. They're not going to be part of any fight. I think uThermal's spreading out a little bit too much.
So you think you should take it a little bit slower there, maybe?
Yeah, look at this. These Zerglings are coming forward. Some of the Widow Mines are going to get a couple of decent shots off. But look at this. The army's just so spread out. Where are the Widow Mines?
I don't see them. Well, I guess they were all the way back.
Yeah.
For uThermal, he's trying to pull back. Inside of those Widow Mines, some friendly fire might actually hit here. If he's not careful, he hits it, but only on some of the links. The Mutas are going to chase the Medivacs and snipe them. GG gets gold. I warned you, Pig, didn't I? You do not play passive against this guy there. If he reaches his drone counts, he's going to demolish pretty much anybody.
Yeah, he went for that 3 command center build, uThermal, but still trying to go for the Hellbat timing at the same time as it. And like I was saying, I feel like it was a little bit too much middle of the road maybe. Maybe if he would hit a little bit harder, but Ret just towed that line of greed so well. Such impressive defensive play from him. And towards the end of that, of course, all the Widow Mines just being spread a little bit too far. It was always going to be an almost impossible fight for uThermal, but he just got caught out with the Widow Mines spread too far. The Marines on their own just can't stand up to that number of Lingbane Muto.
Yeah, that was pretty rough actually. Like as he started going for the push, he had been thinking about the whole time. He just got like attacked, and within 30 seconds, he was out of the game.
Yeah, well, it's that position, that Zerg dream. Of course, we want to go and talk to the Zerg master, Liquid Red himself. Sean, take it away.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm here with Liquid Red, who joins TLO through in the second open bracket. Congratulations, you've gone through to group stages here. A successful open bracket run. Bit of a sigh of relief and an absolutely blinding finish to the night too.
Yeah, I went out in style there. I mean, he stepped on my creep, and I was just like, no, you're not going to do that. And I just rolled over him. So it was a really nice finish.
What do you think that comes down to? Is it just a lot of practice that you've been doing recently? Because it just looked like a lot of the fundamentals of just playing Zerg were just on point today.
Yeah, I think my basics are pretty high level right now compared to the past that I've been. But also in the other games I've lost to him, I always took damage early on. And this game I kind of didn't take a lot of damage. And my drone count was healthy. I was at 85 where I like to be, and the creep was good. So everything went my way this game.
What do you think about his approach to the series against you with the double barracks 2 times in a row?
A little cheeky to do it twice in a row. It would have been very embarrassing if I would have lost to it twice. But he actually did it in the series before as well, on the exact same spot on the same map. So I just sent my overload there, and I got a bit lucky that he went for that.
If you were in his shoes, would you have done the same?
No, I think I would have alternated between 8 Rex Reaper and 2 Rex. That would have been like the ultimate mind game.
Do you think he was always going to be that sort of aggressive in the first 2 games? Like, does he kind of have to do that to you and kind of let you go to the late game?
I think he might think that he needs to do that, but I don't think he needs to. He's a very strong player in just a normal macro game. So if he would play actually like a 3cc double eBay greedy build, I think he would still be very scary and strong as well. But
anything else you want to add in there, Moonblade?
Well, I was just so impressed in that third game, man. Like, your creep spread was phenomenal. I don't think I've ever seen it that good before. Did you really improve a lot going to that boot camp before you came here?
Yeah, I've just been playing tons of games. We've all been motivating each other, and we've all been playing the whole day. We didn't really do all that much fun stuff, but I guess StarCraft is quite fun when you're getting better. So
when you're
that's
winning.
all we've been doing. Yeah.
TLO said that this is something he'd definitely like to do in the future again with Team Liquid. He felt that you guys as a team have done it in Korea before, but at a very different way, but this time was something much different, and everyone seems to be benefiting from it.
Yeah, it would be really great if we could do it again. I really like the location. The team took great care of us, the ones that live right next to us from the main office. So everything was really good. Like, there were no complaints. It was just as good as being at home and with StarCraft friends. So it was great. I kind of want to live there permanently, but that's not going to happen. But hopefully with Legacy or something later on, we can definitely go back and once again go into the hyperbolic time chamber.
Yeah. Did TLA help you for these matches, by the way, like for Petit Drogo and as well as uThermal? Like, because he kind of had to deal with them before you, so it makes it...
I played uThermal first today, so I told TLO what to expect.
Ah, okay.
And well, he told me what to expect from Drogo, but that's just going to be stalkers every time, so
yeah.
it didn't help that much.
Over the last 6 months or so, one final question before we get out of here. Team Liquid have been doing very well in WCS, in outside tournaments as well. Is there any kind of inside info through the Skype channels or just internal dialogues that you've had that you could maybe credit that towards? I mean, why are you guys starting to collectively do so well?
Well, we all help each other out, but I think most of those guys on Team Liquid are just generally going to be the top players in Europe anyways. That's kind of why Team Liquid picked them up in the first place. So it makes sense that we do well, but yeah, we do share a lot of information, replays. We have several Skype groups, one for the team, one for even all the Zergs in Europe, which has about 20 to 25 Zergs in there, and we all complain about Protoss all day long.
Yeah.
But we do share replays and information as well. So I think in Europe there's a pretty healthy scene of people who all want to bond together and beat Koreans anytime they can.
Yeah.
So everyone's really helpful to each other.
Well, you've joined a couple of Europeans here through 3 out of 4 Europeans going through to fight against the Koreans in the main tournament, and there's a lot of good players there. So it's going to be interesting to see where you get drawn, which we'll find out a little bit later on. But I mean, everyone that we've kind of spoke to is like, Group C is kind of nice if I can get into Group C. But what are your thoughts? Is it like, I don't care, I'm actually okay with anything? Or is it, I do want to avoid the innovation and the Sioux?
Well, on the one hand, of course, I would like the easier groups, but also it would be really fun to play innovation. You don't get the chance that often. So I wouldn't really mind. I'm just going to try to have a good time and play some good games, and we'll see where it ends.
Yeah, well, here are the groups for everyone at home. We have Group A, Sioux, Happy, and MMA. Obviously a very difficult group that one of these guys is going to get drawn into. Group B, Innovation, Lilbo, Fantasy, another very difficult group. C is technically the slightly easier group with State, Lambo, and 4GG. And Group D with Stardust, Nurture, and 2 of the open bracket players that have played today. Because, well, it's not over yet. We've got 4 players that have gone through, including Rhett over here. Congratulations on making it through to there. We do have one final match left. It is a game, a decider game, between Bly and uThermal for the 5th slot available due to Rain cancelling his participation in Group D. Who is it going to be? Who is going to group matches? 1 game left before that. Make sure to check out plays.tv for all the games that you've missed so far, and all the games maybe you'll miss in the future too. We'll be right back. He was happy, confident, smiley, and that always translates into good form and good play. And even the games we saw, it was just physically good play.
It was actually such brilliant play when he played against Petit Drogo. Like, he had really intelligent games, and he did everything right in Game 1 and in Game 2, just the right decisions. And I'm very excited to see him against uThermal this time around. Like, he seems to be, in that good place right now. And I've been really impressed with his Zerg versus Terran. I got to see it a lot. Last tournament I casted in when he was playing against Fantasy, a very powerful opponent in Terran vs. Zerg. So I think if it gets to the late game especially, Red's going to be pretty comfortable.
And then, of course, he's going up against uThermal, who has been starting to make a bit of a name of himself recently, continuing to rise. And not just uThermal, I mean, the whole European scene has a bunch of these young, talented European players who are rising through the top, and he's definitely one of them. And he's been continuing to do better and better and better. But this is a difficult task here. This isn't going to be easy, Roddy.
No, especially because he just played at best of 3 against TLO, and things were just not going that well for him in that series.
They played a couple of rounds earlier in the winner bracket. There you can see 2-1 victory to uThermal. Did either of you catch it?
I didn't catch it, but I did watch them go up against each other roughly a month ago, maybe a month and 2 or 3 weeks against or during the DSCL finals, an event that was happening in Amsterdam.
Right.
So I did catch that one, but I didn't catch the one they played earlier today.
How did the one in the finals win out? That was a Rhett victory, if I'm not mistaken.
No, actually it was uThermal. I think uThermal won 4-1 or 4-2. He was pretty decisively, and that was on the moment where Rhett really was on a hot streak. He just qualified. qualified for the Hell It's About Time tournament, did well in WCS, made it to round 16. So I was talking with Red, and he was actually a little bit shocked. He's like, not used to you losing anymore, and I don't really get why I lost. Like, I lost kind of hard, you know. Like, Red is not a guy who throws a tantrum or something, but he was like, you know, we had a cheeky beer afterwards, and he was just kind of staring in front of him. He's like, man, it's weird. Like, I don't actually really know where this went wrong. He played really well, and he was kind of upset about it.
Well, we know Red's playstyle has been pretty much the same, especially in this matchup, since forever. Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters here in Season 10 in the ESL studios in Cologne, Germany. We've had a long day so far, and we're nearing the end of it. We have one final official match from Open Bracket 2 before going to the decider between both Open Bracket 1 and Open Bracket 2. Over here is the #1 Twitch streamer for StarCraft 2 Rotterdam, and it is...
Who am I, mate?
The #1 GSL caster.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you very much.
I could say Spo TV or Star League, but whenever I watch GSL, it's you that stands out in my heart.
Much love, man. I appreciate that. Taste, look out.
Mooglade's coming for your jobs.
I'm coming.
He's coming for your money and your jobs. Next match then. Two Dutch players go head to head. Did either of you manage to catch the previous one? Because I know they played the same time as the mainstream. As you can see, here's the bracket. You know, maybe he's a little bit aggressive here and there, but mostly it's just the traditional Zergling, Bagelin, Mutalisk style. But uThermal is just kind of known as a more aggressive player overall. Does that translate into the games that you saw when they played in that finals then?
Yeah, it's actually really fun because I've casted them a couple of times already. Well, I didn't cast the DSCL, but before that there was a small event in Rotterdam where they played a best of 3 for €300, and Red was really sick. Like, uThermal was non-stop aggression, and Red just shut everything down and won pretty easily 2-0. But then at the DSCL final, suddenly uThermal was able to make his aggression work, and the Red was just never able to truly stabilize on that high number of drones that we know he likes to stabilize on. So it's an interesting clash, and I really feel whenever these two go up against each other, it's shape of the day and it's execution above anything.
Well, Jos has been playing absolutely great here today. He's just picked up the victory we saw in the mainstream against Petit Drogo. It's a great victory in itself. I mean, we know how well Petit Drogo's been doing recently, and for Red to come in and knock him out of the open bracket. And here he is again going up against a player he's played a little bit earlier on, and when he was on the desk in the post-game interview.
I met him for the first time actually after that series today, because he was playing before and I was you know, out of the office early this morning. So I walked up to him and he's like, hey, and he was kind of smiling still. So I told him in Dutch, wasn't he Phil? Which translates to, that wasn't much, bro. You know, like that series. So he looks at me, he's like, wow, that's kind of rude. I was like, well, what else you want me to say? Well played. And then he just kind of laughed. He's like, oh no, that doesn't really work either. So, but he's a chill guy. He's very relaxed around the events, and he is definitely one of those upcoming Terrans. We've been saying it for a while. I've been giving him a lot of love. I looked a little silly in the previous cast because TLO just shut him down. But I do think that uThermal, if he brings his A++ game, he's very good. And he even went to Twitter as well. He's like, well,
I was gonna say,
just one of those series where you play like a gold leaguer. It happens. Move on, you know.
And he really feels confident about the rest of the players in this bracket. And even ahead of this, if he was to say that he lost to Red, he has Bly, which I'm sure he's confident against as well. So this is a perfect opportunity. We only have 3 players left for a couple of slots. So we'll see how